मेरी क्लास है अभी। तुम कल पढ़।
So good afternoon all. Now we'll start. So in the last lecture, we have gone through syllabus part. What are the different contents in the syllabus? Now we'll go through the unit number 1. That's the limit set method. Before that, we'll be looking at some of the introductory part related to the concrete. Basically, as you know, that in older times, most of the time is stone, brick, and then timber. You might have seen in some of the movies, the older movies, that the stone, bricks, and timbers were used. And there are different buildings as well now. Also, even if you visited some of the ancient buildings or the places where these such buildings are there, in that case, you might have seen the stones, bricks, and timber. Those are the only three things used to be the popular material earlier. And then afterwards, the cement was invented, and then cement concrete has become the very good material for the construction part. And nowadays, it has become very common to use it. Now, nobody go for stone, brick, or timber only. So if you just look at the different stages of the concrete or different states of the concrete, so you will be able to see that there is a basically plastic and hardened state. So I'll just rub it. So if you just look at what exactly this means, plastic state and hardened state. So in plastic state, you will see that the workability will be there, segregation is there, and bidding is there. But once it get hardened, once the concrete get hardened, so you will see that the strength will be achieved, durability will be achieved, impermeability will be achieved, creep, shrinkage, and substitution. These are the things which would be the possible distresses. So in plastic state, you will see that whether that concrete or you can say before hardening state, this particularly plastic state is there. And then after hardening, not the hardened state is nothing but the once that concrete get hardened. So you will see strain, durability, impermeability, creep, shrinkage, and thermal expansion. So reinforced cement concrete, basically, if you just look at this, it's nothing but the composite material. Why we will say it's a composite material? Because it already consists of a concrete. Concrete itself have the different components, different ingredients. And then apart from concrete, we'll have the steel. So both these two plays a very important role in the concrete, and that's why it is called as a composite. So plain cement concrete possesses high compressive strength, but it is weak in tension. And that's the thing, since it is weaker in tension, suppose if there is a weakness, so what you will do? You will try to overcome that weakness. You will try to overcome that particularly disadvantage. So in this cement concrete, you will see that yes, though concrete is definitely it's very good have the very good compression strength, but since it is weaker in tension, you cannot provide the concrete where the tensile thing is there. And that's the reason to overcome this tension. So usually you go for the reinforcing part. So for reinforcing, you might have this steel is the thing. It is mostly popular, but there are certain polymers as well. There are certain fiber reinforced bar also, bar, FRP. Those are also there. But steel is the most popular one we usually go ahead with. So reinforced thing we usually do with the steel. So because of that, you will get the tension capacity. Now what you are done is, yes, you know that okay, concrete is good in compression, but now since it was weaker in tension, what you are done, you are just provided steel to it. You have provided steel to it, so that's the thing. Now it is good in tension. Now it is good in compression as well. Now, in reinforced concrete still provides the tensile strength, while the concrete provides the compressive strength. So there are many construction sites. You may see bridges, tanks, dams. If you are going for that, so you will be able to see that this is the major part, or concrete is the major part in the construction. Well, but every structure has got its form, has got its function and aesthetics. Normally, we consider that the architect will take care of them, and the structural engineer will be solely responsible for the strength and safety of structures. So you might have gone through, if you might have gone through any kind of the new buildings coming across in any city, so you will see that there used to be the different poster brochures banners, and on that you usually see who is the architect of it, who is the builder, and who is the architect. So what is the role of that architect? You usually go for this part: form, function, and aesthetics. And then there is a structural engineer who basically take care of the strength and safety of the structure. And yes, this structural engineer as well as architect both play important role. Sometimes it is possible that architects have some basic understanding of structural design as well. Also, structural engineers have the basic knowledge of architecture requirement as well. So if there is a bigger structure, if there are more bigger complex, if there are bigger apartments, in that case you will be able to see the architects. But if you are going for some bungalow kind of thing, okay, in that case you won't see an architect different or engineer different. You will see that okay, only one, either it would be a designer or sometimes even a builder. Sometimes you maybe see that the builder is not even a civil engineer. So that kind of thing is there. So the knowledge, basic knowledge is very important. Basic knowledge of structural design, basic knowledge of architecture point of view. So building planning and AutoCAD or drawing, that particularly thing where you will be able to see what are the different things are there in terms of architect point of view or in terms of aesthetic point of view. So whenever you want to build a structure, yes, both architects as well as structural engineers plays a vital role. So both engineer and architect should realize that skeletal structure without architecture is barren, and mere architecture without the structural strength and safety is also disaster. So you cannot say most of the time you will see that the building has a different look, and because of that look only, usually the the person usually get attracted towards that. Otherwise, if you just create only a frame structure, creating only beam column and beam column slab and wall, and you do not provide any kind of aesthetic towards it, so it won't look good. Nobody attracted towards that, and that's the reason. Basically, this is very important, wherein how that particular look is. So, consideration of reserve strength, limited deformation, and durability, which actually comes under the safety. So safety and strength, yes, this is the role played by a structural engineer. So how about the strength, limited deformation, and durability should be there. So that's how the safety plays an important role. So if you just look at that particularly a structure, should have acceptable probability of performing satisfactorily during their intended life. It means that it should be designed in such a way that, suppose there is a 50 years life, in that case, that particularly building should behave properly or should not have any kind of um, dangerous deformations as well. Sometimes you may see that the buildings there are certain slabs, there are certain cantilever portion wherein you will see that there are certain reinforcing coming out of that particular slab because of the cover is not provided, and you will see that the reinforcement have been corroded as well. So that's very dangerous to that particular part of the structure. And if that particularly building is not well maintained, does not paint properly, if that particularly cover is not provided, yes, definitely water gets percolated into that concrete structure, and eventually it's trying to corrode that reinforcement. If reinforcement is going to get corroded, so what we have seen earlier, at the tensile capacity because the compression part is to be taken care of by the concrete, but it's weak in tension. So your reinforcement will play a vital role for the tensile capacity. If it is not good, okay, so that will hamper your safety. So this objective does not include guarantee that every structure must perform satisfactorily during its intended life. You cannot give the guarantee, or you may not say that yes, on the stamp paper I will give that yes, this structure will be able to survive for 100 years or 50 years. Likewise, no one gives that kind of guarantee. Yes, you have to just check, or you have to design that way only, but you cannot give the guarantee. No one gives the guarantee like that on stamp paper or something like that. So there are uncertainties in the design process, both in the estimation of the load and the strength of the material. Why we are saying like that? Why there is uncertainty in the design process, in the estimation of the load or the strength of the material as well? Full guarantee would only involve more cost. And many times what happened that if uh, someone wants to build a particularly uh, different stories on it, or suppose that that was designed or structure was designed only for four story. Now someone has instead of four story, it has already constructed plus one story or plus two story. So what about that particular load? What about that particular strength? Who is responsible for that? It happens most of the time. It happens. Well, so there is acceptable probability of performance of structure as given in the standard code. The standard code, as I said earlier, there are standard codes that should be followed. And then whatever the structure you are going to design, that should sustain all the loads and deform within the limits of the construction. So there are particularly limits. There are particularly deformation limits. Accordingly, only even you cannot say that the deformation will never occur. Yes, deformation will occur. Even if you design how much you can design for any number of loads, even if your design that is going to be deformed, but the deformation should be within the limit. That's the thing. So adequate strength and limited deformation, these are the requirements basically. Strength should be adequate. You cannot say full strength. You cannot say low strength. Strength is adequate. Why? Because if you are going for the more strength, yes, your cost will get increased. Because sometimes what happened that suppose if you just see there's a beam, now the requirement is of only two bars in the upper portion and two bars in the lower portion. Now you want strength, what you will do? Okay, I'll add one more bar here, I'll add one more bar here. So that's the most strength. But what about this bar? What about the cost of it? So that's the reason adequate strength is important. And limited deformation. Deformation, yes, that will occur, but it should be within the well specified of the IS code. So sometimes structures are heavily loaded beyond control. So structural engineer is not responsible to ensure the strength and deformation within limit under such situation. Yes, it happens that sometimes this structure, because as I said earlier, suppose that particularly structure is only for G+4, but as I said, there are certain builders who are not even civil engineers, but they are simply going for the, or there are certain even small builders or small contractors who even not have the degree or not even have the polytechnic related to the civil engineering, and they just say, okay, go for instead of G+4, you can go for G+5, though there are certain vega and all those things. But what about the small buildings? What about the bungalows? What about the residential buildings? In that case, yes. So sometimes even instead of, though there is a particular capacity of G+1, and now you want to go ahead for other story, or you want to perform some other operation on the building, so that would create a problem. So staircase in the residential building during festival like Well, most of the time staircases, um, they will play a role while it's like this kind of thing. And for buildings, even you can see that there are certain structures that get overloaded, sometimes that get overloaded, and there are the certain situations. Well, um, so what if structural designer structural designer is not responsible for the strength and deformation under such situations where the loading is above whatever the design load is? But um, what he will ensure? He will ensure that, okay, if suppose failure is going to occur, if suppose failure is going to occur, so that should be the such kind of failure where that whoever occupants are there, they should get the sufficient time to vacate the building, to vacate the building. Yes, it's very important part. So it should give sufficient warning to the occupants and must not fail suddenly. Yes, whatever building you are going to design, whatever building, so it should not suddenly collapse. It should give sufficient warning. It should give sufficient time for the vacate. Okay. So what are the different things that the designer should take care of? So the design structure should be durable. So the material of the reinforcement or the material of the RCC get affected by the environment conditions. So it depends if you are going for conditions, so whether the structure is in the Maharashtra region or whether it is in the nearby seashore or whether it is in the some mountain region, or it depends. So that environmental condition depends. So structure having sufficient strength and permissible deformation may have lower strength and exhibit excessive deformation in the long run. So durability is very important part. So separate checks for the durability are to be taken care for the even steel reinforcement as well as for the concrete. So this will avoid problems of frequent repairing of the structure. So durability is have to take care of. Then what about the design structure should be adequately resist to the effect of misuse as well as the fire. Sometimes there can be the things and you cannot do much more in that. But if suppose it's going to have some fireworks or stove fireworks, gas and other highly inflammable materials. So because of that, fire may take place and accidents may occur. Or even secondary effects of earthquake. After earthquake, that this kind of things may occur. Or by overturning kerosene stoves or lantern, electrical short circuiting and likewise. So properly designed structure should allow sufficient time and safe route for the person inside to vacate the structure. So you may find even if and there are certain in multi-story buildings, there are certain things. If suppose such kind of accidents are there, so you should have some other way to vacate that particular structure. It happened many times. It happened. If we have gone through certain news, yes, this kind of accidents happen, and because of this, that particularly losses of in terms of life, in terms of money, in terms of other things, most of the time occur. So all the above objectives should be fulfilled by understanding strength and deformation. The strength and deformation. These are the two major characteristics of the material. And out of these two basic materials, concrete and steel, the steel majorly produced in industry and further it is available in form of standard bars of rod of specific diameter. So whatever steel is there, still bars are there. So you will find certain specific bar sizes only. While on the concrete, this steel is nothing but there are certain industry where from this industry only you will get the steel. But the concrete is prepared from several materials, as you know that cement, sand, coarse aggregate, water, admixtures, and usually it is either you may have the industry related to the concrete or you can do it in situ as well. So therefore, characteristic properties of the material should be well known. So when we go for this material, so you have to taste for the quality, ensure the quality. The necessary information regarding the properties and characteristic strength of this material, they should follow the standard code. So even there are certain, even if you see the constructions in the road, even if you see the construction for the uh, major, say, some of the apartments or likewise, so they have to follow such norms, they have to follow the testing, they have to follow the quality. It's very important for that. So standards according to the IS code, according to the Indian standard code, you have to follow this norm for material, for production, for workmanship, maintenance, and the performance. So now we'll move towards the method of design. So as we have seen, so these are the different, we have just generalized part. We have seen what exactly the things are responsible or what should be, we have to, what are the things we have to keep it in mind. And now we'll go for the method of design. So if you just look at the working stress design, the earlier it was the working stress design. So basically, in the working stress design, limit state design, ultimate state design. So these are the major things. So if you just look at this first one, working stress design is based on the behavior of the structure at working load, and this assumes that linear stress relationship. So what does that mean? Suppose if you have gone through the strength of material, so if suppose this is the stress versus strain curve, it would be linear, but that is not linear. Stress strain relationship is not the thing. And but in working stress method, yes, they have followed that part. So method ensures satisfactory behavior of the structure at working load, but gives no indication at the actual margin of safety against collapse. So as we have seen, though structure may get collapsed because of certain things, but it should give sufficient time, sufficient warning, so uh, that particularly occupants may get vacated. That is very important part. So it do not give any indication or no much indication about the collapse. So as the ultimate load carrying capacity cannot be predicted, what is the ultimate load carrying capacity of that particularly material or of that particularly uh, which material you are going to use, or the concrete basically, more specifically, let's say. Then there comes ultimate strength design. Method is based on the behavior of the structure at ultimate load. And this method, so the same first one, that is the first one, and then this is the second one, ultimate strength design. So this is based on the behavior of the structure at ultimate load and provides more realistic assessment at the degree of safety, but may lead to a condition adversely affecting the serviceability of the structure. Serviceability of the structure may get affected. So serviceability is certain things. Suppose a slab is there and And on the slab, if you're moving, so you may feel that the slab may get collapsed. So what does that mean? It means that this serviceability part, whether that particular structure is serviceable or not, so it is to be taken care of. So when we say working stress method, this ensures satisfactory behavior of working load and assumes to possess adequate safety against collapse. While if you see ultimate strength design method, it ensures adequate safety against collapse and assumes to behave satisfactorily at working load. But none of these two methods, working stress method or the ultimate strength, they do not ensure satisfactory behavior both at working at ultimate load. And that's the reason, since these do not go for accuracy or even ultimate strength do not go for accuracy. So what is to be done? What is the necessity? So necessity is that there should be certain design method which could get developed based on the rational and practical design method and should ensure the safety of the structure not only against the collapse but also serviceability at working load. So these are the two things when we say that there should be the method apart from this working stress method. As I say, working stress method and the ultimate strength method, these are the earlier two. So a particularly method wherein it is going to give the guarantee of adequate safety against the structure being unfit for use. So structure is unfit for use when it reaches the acceptable limit for collapse and serviceability requirements. So such kind of states are known as the limit state, and the design method which ensures adequate safety against such limits, they are called as a limit state design. So the working stress and limit state method are basically we can discuss. So when we say working stress method of design, so it is basically based on the behavior of the structure at working load, while the stress distribution in the concrete and steel at working load is assumed to be linear. As the design is made by assuming linear stress-strain relationship, ensuring that the stresses in the concrete and steel do not exceed their permissible values. So as we say, suppose the stress-strain relationship we just calculate, so it is going to be behave like a linear relationship. Just like the suppose stress is going to be increased, so strain will also get increased. So that's how this stress-strain relationship is assumed in this working stress method. And that is the reason. So basically, this design is made by assuming this linear stress relationship and ensures that the stresses in concrete do not exceed their permissible values at service load. So here there is comes a factor of safety, wherein if you, that can be obtained by dividing the ultimate or yield strength of the material. So you have seen in the strength of material, which one is the ultimate strength or which one is the yield strength. Ultimate strength is different and yield strength is different for the material. So if you just divide that particular ultimate strength by factor of safety, so the factor of safety for concrete in compression, bending and steel in tension are 3.0 and 1.8. So that was the earlier one. in the working stress method. And that's how the factor of safety is also come. Now, when we say limit state method, so, well, anyways, so limit state method, since it is going to get started more in detail from now on, so what we'll do, we'll just see from here limit state method in the next lecture. That is how this particularly limit state method will start in the next lecture. Exactly how the behavior is built. So today we have discussed about the working stress method, ultimate strength method, and the different properties related to the concrete. So anyways, we'll stop here and we'll see this limit state method in detail in the next lecture. Thank you. So if you type your name and roll number in the chat box, you can leave the meeting. If you're not done so, you can type it fast because only a few minutes left for the meeting to get ended. So thank you. You can do the meeting.